This concept video is designed to show what a visitor would see and experience as they walk through the North Alabama Zoological Society's future zoo. This is a conceptual plan. The actual animal species guests will see at the zoo will be determined based on availability from other zoological facilities. However, from a broad stroke view, this is the site plan, a zoo for you, North Alabama.
Our journey begins with guests staying on site. The African-themed lodge includes themed rooms and amenities including an indoor water park, feature pool, and a patio overlook with views into an African savanna and watering hole. Resort guests can stroll along a beautifully landscaped pathway leading to the retail, dining, and entertainment district. Here, guests can enjoy restaurants, listen to live music, and try dairy products from the farm section of the zoo. Additional offerings include a carousel, miniature train ride, and aquarium access, all surrounding a central fountain water feature. Continuing ahead, guests move closer to the zoo itself, walking through an entry complex and into a central plaza hub. At the center of the zoo sits the Cosmic Jungle building with an iconic sculpture out front to welcome you. This building includes multimedia interpretives and state-of-the-art exhibits telling the stories of the galactic heroes of the animal kingdom who have ventured into space. This highly interactive indoor experience will be a favorite for guests of all ages. Surrounding the Cosmic Jungle are 5 pathways that lead into various national parks. The first park is dedicated to the native wildlife of Alabama. Moving through grassy sand dunes and aquatic habitats, guests will first enter the shores of the Gulf Coast. Native species from the Gulf, including manatees, dolphins, and sea turtles, are just a few of the animals our guests will encounter. Past the Gulf shores sits a local farm where children can play in a farm setting complete with silos, tractors, and a barn where goods and products such as cheese and milk are sold. A special part of the farm will provide a home for miniature animals including pigs, goats, sheep, cows, and other farm species. Adjacent to the farm sits the rest of the Alabama native habitats. Through the valley and forest, guests will see native wildlife of Alabama such as alligators, white-tailed deer, black bears, river otters, and red wolves. Hidden in the forest lies a cave entrance where guests can enter and encounter bats, cave salamanders, and cavefish. Children of all ages can explore adventure trails and weave through stalactites and stalagmites in search of these elusive creatures. This cave not only will educate the public about the geology of Alabama, but will also offer an opportunity to venture farther into the zoo and enter the Adventure Trek region of Yellowstone National Park. As guests transition from Alabama to Yellowstone, they will notice a distinct change caused by the heat, sounds, and smell of volcanic activity. Special effects built into the cave walls will allow the guests to feel the warmth of the subterranean pressure system. As they leave the cave, they are immersed into Yellowstone National Park. A meandering pathway through the forest edge habitat leads past geysers and bubbling mud pots. A pathway leads to the Yellowstone Visitor Center, where guests can stop for a break, grab a bite to eat, visit the gift shop, or choose one of the many trails surrounding the building that showcase smaller animals of this park. Badgers, weasels, beavers, foxes, and more will coexist in harmonious immersion. The main focal point of the visitor center is the signature geyser, which sits in the landscape and is surrounded by large herds of elk, bison, and pronghorn antelope. Periodically, guests can sit and watch this natural wonder erupt high into the air while viewing wildlife in the distance. From the visitor center, our guests continue their adventures into the wilderness, past bubbling mud pots and geysers, until they reach a checkpoint where they find themselves surrounded by predators. Gray wolves, grizzly bears, and mountain lions live here and can be rotated throughout several different yards. After viewing these predators up close, our guests can then choose to either continue walking along boardwalks that lead well into the forested park or join a guided horseback tour where they can get closer than ever before to huge herds of elk, bison, or mule deer. Deep in the trees sits a challenge ropes course where families can climb throughout the treetops while elk, bison, and even wolves meander below. Back inside the main zoo, we find our next destination, Asia. In Asia, our focal point is an ornate temple complex. Intricate architecture and vivid colors will put our guests right in the middle of Gunung Lujar National Park in Sumatra, where they just might come face to face with a tiger or visit with a family of orangutans in the treetops. Beyond the national forest lies a bamboo bridge that guests can take up and over the service road and into Namdapha National Park. This tropical India region begins by crossing over a fast-moving creek. The sound of the rushing water over the rocky bottom is loud and calming, as if to cleanse the palate for all the sensational experiences ahead. Sun bears and clouded leopards are some of the predators that live here. Following the path, our guests get their first glimpse of the base camp, where large towers on stilts rise into the canopy. High up in the treetops, laughter is heard as a family takes their turn clambering around on a rope challenge course. Moving from platform to platform, guests can get bird's-eye views of animals below and become completely immersed in the forests of India. Further into the forest, another platform structure sits within the trees. Boardwalks branch out along the forest floor, where guests can become surrounded by a variety of Indian hoofstock, water buffalo, and Indian rhinos. For those who are more adventurous, there is a 400-foot-long zip line that lets you fly through the sections of the forest habitat. Back across the service road and returning into the tropical forests of Sumatra, guests will reach the edge of the forest, where the landscape changes to the steppe plains of Mongolia. Bactrian camels, gazelle, and Przewalski horses graze peacefully on the hillside next to a local village. Here, the guests can learn about the rich cultures of this region and how people survive the barren, frigid wilderness. Before heading back to the main hub, our guests have the opportunity to witness one of the most elusive animals in the world, the snow leopard. Africa is next on our tour, and we begin by exploring Virunga National Park. Here, the tropical forest houses all kinds of wildlife. An aviary tucked into the trees allows guests to get up close and personal with beautiful birds. Leopards stalk the forest floors while primates shriek at each other high above you. To the left of the forest is the river's edge habitat, where hippos and crocodiles appear to dwell in the same body of water. Waterbuck and other antelope also share the hippo habitat, each with their own designated safe zones from each other. On the opposite side of the forest, guests can venture into Madagascar's Masoala National Park. Here, lemurs move freely through the trees, occasionally coming down to forage on the ground. An aviary features brightly colored birds, lizards climb around on large boulders, and the small but mighty fossa searches for its next meal. Continuing further into Madagascar, guests enter the Mozambique Channel Interpretive Center. This waterway is crucial habitat for several species including whales, dolphins, and sea turtles. Projection mapping and augmented reality will give the illusion that guests are underwater with these animals and gain a better understanding of the immense biodiversity that thrives here. Upon re-entering Virunga National Park, guests can explore a ranger station overlook. Here, they are surrounded by predator habitats for lions and hyena. Multiple yards give the animals options for where they want to spend the day. In the distance, the savanna teems with herds of giraffe, zebra, antelope, and white rhinos, all intermingling peacefully on the plains. At the edge of the savanna sits a large grouping of rock formations. These copy habitats are full of life around every corner. Exploration trails and an exclusive campground are tucked into the cracks and crevices of the rocky terrain. For the more adventurous groups, another experience awaits. Guests can take a jeep tour and explore Kruger National Park. As their jeep drives through canyons, rivers, and vast expanses of savanna grasslands, herds of animals will surround them. At the far end of the jeep tour, guests can choose to disembark on yet another type of adventure. Leaving the savanna behind, our guests enter another African forest. Here, large herds of antelope graze peacefully in the shade, while nearby, a family of African painted dogs patrol the tree line. Guests will catch a glimpse of the rare and elusive okapi, herds of Cape buffalo, and even black rhinos. Walking along the boardwalks, guests will be immersed into the forest habitat with views of wildlife all around them. Additionally, 3,000-foot-long zip lines will let guests soar over this forest region, while herds of antelope, buffalo, and black rhinos move freely down below. From Africa, we hop all the way down to Australia, specifically the Puruna Wildlife Sanctuary, where guests can walk through beautifully landscaped trails meandering past kangaroos and wombats. Moving into the habitats of the Australian Alps National Park areas, guests will encounter a family of dingoes lounging the day away surrounded by wildflowers and eucalyptus trees. An aviary for budgies and lorikeets will allow guests to hand-feed some spectacular birds and even see sugar gliders up close. Different trails will lead guests up and over the service road, where additional alpine habitats are nestled up against the backside of the lodge. Guests staying on this side of the resort will be treated with views into a eucalyptus forest just outside their windows. Last, but certainly not least, is the Conservation Campus. This zone is dedicated to research and conservation programs, as well as a designated space for educational classrooms and meeting rooms. There is a special zoo entrance allowing school groups to enter directly into the campus. The entrance into this space is located to give guests perfect views of a beautiful architectural aquarium building across a central lawn. The aquarium features species from regions of the world not represented in the rest of the zoo. The Amazon River, Galapagos Islands, and the Arctics are some examples of what you might experience inside. A state-of-the-art veterinary service complex will also be located here, allowing guests views into the daily operations of zoos and what it takes to care for the many animal residents. After a long and fulfilling day at the zoo, guests can exit through the main gift shop back into the entertainment district, or if they're staying at the resort, they can walk back to their rooms and enjoy some late afternoon views of the African savanna. Whatever path our guests choose to take, we hope they will be inspired to create a better tomorrow that connects the communities and visitors of North Alabama with the world's wild places and wildlife.